It's no surprise that northern Arizona is a very dry place. It's a desert, but sometimes they get a lot of rain. And that is exactly what happened the last week and a half of July of this year. The region got almost 5 inches of rain, which is nearly 13 centimeters. And when it rains so much in the desert, these temporary ponds, known as vernal pools, form. And at Wipaki National Monument, some visitors noticed these like tadpole-like creatures swimming in one of the pools. So they quickly alerted the rangers and they said, hey, I saw the tadpoles in the pond at the ball court. There it is. Look at that. It looks like a little alien. Turns out it is a crustacean.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's the ball court. What's the ball court for? Do you know?
Right. So the indigenous people of the region built this ceremonial ball court, and we're actually not sure what its purpose was. I did ask the ranger if it, was used for something similar like the Maya ball game, but she says they're just not sure. It's actually not in the same shape as the Maya ball game court, so perhaps it's entirely different. But
great breeding ground to just hold a lot of these little creatures, yeah.
Right, it's perfect for the vernal pool that formed. So to learn what this visitor was talking about, one of the rangers, I spoke with her. Her name is Lauren Carter, a lead interpretation ranger at Wipaki National Monument. She went down and scooped one up. You're looking at her hand right there. She says these creatures are known as triops, and they look like little mini horseshoe crabs with 3 eyes. And yeah, look at those eyes there. So it has 2 compound eyes, which are common among arthropods, which is this massive group that includes insects, arachnids, scorpions, crustaceans. I mentioned this particular creature is a crustacean. And then it has a 3rd eye. Look at that little dot between its 2 main eyes.
It's so zen.
I know, it looks very wise. So that 3rd eye actually senses light. And the 3rd eye is actually quite common among arthropods. And it turns out, like, for example, bees, they have their 2 compound eyes, and they have 3 simple eyes. So this one is very prominent. You can see it right in the middle. But yeah, it's got 3 eyes, and that's how it got its name. Triops means 3 eyes in Greek.
Cool. So how long can they stay dormant?
That's kind of their survival trick. It's so dry in the desert. They can stay in their eggs for decades. And then once there's a heavy rainfall and these vernal pools form, they pop to life, they hatch, and within hours, they start gobbling up as much food as possible. So they can filter feed, they can nibble on, seeds and leaves and roots. If it's like a scarce food situation, they can even cannibalize each other.
Oh, no.
So I feel bad for the smaller ones. They're probably more the prey for the larger triops.
Is that probably what happened to his poor little missing left arm there? Because I'm looking at these other ones, from stock images, and they seem a little bit more even.
I did notice that. Yeah, I'm not sure how he broke his little appendage. Poor dude.
Yeah.
At least it doesn't appear he was entirely eaten or whatever happened to him.
Yeah. Tell me more about these little creatures. They're kind of cool looking.
I know. So after they've eaten a lot, they molt a few times. They're crustaceans, just like crabs and lobsters. And then they reach adulthood really fast, just over a week. I think 8 or 9 days they reach adulthood, and they're ready to mate again, start the next generation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and you can tell by looking at this photo, but they're not that big. They're about 1.5 inches long, which is, about 4 centimeters. And they have a few nicknames. So, they're called triops. That's their genus name. But sometimes they're called tadpole shrimp. They're also known as dinosaur shrimp because they have this long evolutionary history. Their ancestors date back to the Dinovian period, which lasted from 419 million to 359 million years ago. And they look pretty much the same as their ancestors did. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, but because they're so old, can we call them living fossils?
Oh my gosh, I'm really glad you asked that because I think this is a term that gets thrown around, but it turns out that a lot of scientists really hate it. And Carter, the ranger I spoke with, she told me I don't like the term living fossil because it causes a misunderstanding with the public that they haven't changed at all. But they have changed, they have evolved. It's just that the outward appearance of them is very similar to what they were millions of years ago. So put another way, they do look the same, but they are not the same. They have evolved. Their internal processes are different, at least some of them. So yeah,
finding. And this is all just because of that insane rain that they had.
Yeah, they were. I guess the pond lasted 3 to 4 weeks, is what Carter told me. So I said they reach adulthood quite rapidly, and then it's time to mate. So how do they mate? A male and a female might find each other, and the female will lay eggs, but their circumstances are so it's so interesting. Like maybe they won't be able to find a partner of the opposite sex, and it turns out that triops are hermaphrodites as well, which means they have both male and female organs.
It's like so, do it themselves.
Yeah, so they have that flexibility, and they're also parthenogenic, which means the females can produce offspring from unfertilized eggs, so they don't need a male to spawn the next generation.
More power to them. I guess, and that's why they've been around for so long. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool superpower.